Evening, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you to West Seneca East High School for Section 6 Boys Championship Soccer. It's the Class C sectional championship between the number 2 seeded Portville Panthers, 13-3-1, entering today, taking on the number 1 seeded Holland Dutchmen, 11-6-1 on the season. Both teams winning 8 games in conference play. Glad to have you with us on the NFHS Network. My name is Jack Cruiser. To my right is Rich Kozak, longtime Western New York coach. Rich, good to have you with us for our first game together, and it should be a great one.
Well, it's not the first time we've been together. I think the last time we were together on a soccer pitch, you were getting your ankle being tended to at the Frontier tournament.
That was true, yes.
Yeah, exactly. But luckily, that's the appendage during this voice you don't rely on the most, because I'm sitting right next to some of the best pipes in Western New York, young or otherwise. You know, it is great to be here. Monday Night Football style. And if this past week of sectional play has been any indication, folks, take off that NFL stuff. Make sure NFHS is broadcasting to whatever media you have in the house. This should be a good one. Class AA, B, and D have been fantastic finales. This is looking to be exactly the same way.
So, Rich, let's take a look at each team. First, let's start with the underdogs in today. The Portville Panthers, the number 2 seed in the bracket. They make their way here after a win in the semifinals over Wilson in 1-0 style. What can we look for from the Panthers?
Well, if you're looking forward with the Panthers as we kick off, athleticism, and you can see the way they're just trying to go after the Dutchmen right off the bat. The last week's games, and unlike the salubrious weather we've had the past 10 days or so, both of these teams had to face gale force winds to get to this perfect weather game here. Portville not only took on an opponent, but also they took on Mother Nature, and just looking at their size and stature, their athleticism might be something that can make the difference today.
For Holland, you seem to know the coach quite well in Giovanni Cambereri. Now, what can you say about the Dutchmen and their chances as the favorite, the number 1 seed in the Class C bracket?
Well, what does they say? When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. Well, Giovanni Cambereri, hailing from Rome, Italy, brings a little bit of European flavor to the Holland Dutchmen. You're going to see very much unlike what you would see in a normal high school game. You're going to see a lot of passing, a lot of changing between offense and defense, and you're going to see a lot of skill, because you look at Hank Anderson, who, as we say that the ball bandies out of bounds, a little nervousness. You're going to see some play that shows indeed it is the beautiful game.
So a bit of a European flair to this Holland team, who sets up defensively for our first corner kick on the day. It will be for the Portville Panthers. No shots on goal just yet as we enter the second minute of play. We've had a plenty of fast goals scored throughout the sectional championships. A short roller in on goal. They score! Waiting for the corner and capitalizing, Cole Faulkner puts Portville up 1-0.
What a goal on a set play off the corner. All right, we talked about this earlier in the earlier game. This field at West Seneca East is absolutely massive. About 3,000 square feet bigger than both the Holland field and the Portland field. The dummy run, both the defenders for Holland go after what they thought was going to be the shooter, lays it off to the youngster from Portville, who calmly pots it in. And this is Giovanni Cambereri and Holland's worst nightmare, to get behind early, less than 2 minutes into this game.
The first corner on the day results in a goal for Portville, and Cole Faulkner's 7th on the season, as his goalkeeper, Troy Van Sickle, makes a great play to end a break for the Dutchmen. What can you say about Troy and the junior Van Sickle's chances here today?
Well, I'm looking as Van Sickle, very much a Holland Dutchman right there. What really not shocked me, but as a coach, looking at the amount of aggression Portville comes right through at the start. They're calling themselves the underdog. Maybe their coach is saying, you know what, let us play from behind here, because as it looked like very much European, we say this, Holland was trying to, just work themselves into the game, whereas Portville just using that size advantage and perhaps the sheer athletic advantage really put it on early, Jack.
And a shot on goal handled easily by the keeper for the Dutchman, Ryan Oleski, who has a shaky start. I mean, you call it what you want. The first shot on goal finds its way past him, though it was in tight. A bit of a screen on Oleski, now able to get his feet under him with a nice save on the free kick opportunity. Now the Dutchman looking to counter the other way. It's their second leading goal scorer, Gabriel Leach, who's got 14 goals, 11 assists on the season, wearing number 9 in purple. The Dutchmen, though, have to retreat after a good defensive effort from Portville broke up that chance.
One of the things I'm going to be looking at early on as the ball is hit down into the Holland end is both of these teams play on a very small natural grass pitch. There's no way you can recreate this kind of AstroTurf or field turf that they have at West Seneca. It's actually a little shorter because they play field hockey on here, football. It's a multi-sport turf, but the ball tends to run a little quickly. So we'll see. You saw that happen in the earlier game between Maple Grove and Ellicottville. The teams had to adjust to the field, and you could see the feet, which are usually pretty reliable on Holland, some nerves and perhaps getting used to this surface.
Holland Dutchman attacking right to left in the first half, trailing 1-0. Not only 5 minutes into play. Portville with a big fan base here at West Seneca East cheering on their Panthers, which they did last week in torrential downpours against the Wilson Lakemen, a game that they could have been down 1-0 in. A shot off the goal post from Wilson's best goal scorer early in the match kept Portville alive to eventually take the 1-0 victory. So they've got a win under their belts on this field already.
Well, I'll tell you, give props to this Portville traveling crew. It's very much Norman Rockwell-esque. I am not privy to the 2020 census numbers in Portville, but I can't imagine there's too many people left in town because they are all here for this game.
Sorry to all the trick-or-treaters down in Portville on Halloween night. No candy for you unless everyone left a bucket of Snickers out on their porch.
And again here, we talked about it again, but I'm going to bring it up. This field is 120 by 75 yards. Both fields for Portville and Holland, 100 by 60. There's nearly 3,000 square feet more of space. Last game we saw, they settled in, both teams, inside the American football numbers. It might, with the size advantage of Portville, behoove the Holland Dutchmen to start spreading this field out, not kick and chase, and play and do what they do best, because Portville has a decided advantage both physically and technically right now.
A goal already for Cole Faulkner, and he sends in the free kick due to the handball of the Dutchman. Joe Randolph, the senior, with a goal and assist on the season, will set his feet for a toss. It bounces out to Brady German, who sends it inside the 18, working atop there. Portville elects to keep possession, though here comes Henry Anderson, 23 goals on the season. His speed and vision have allowed him to pick up the lead in goals and assists for the Dutchman, though here he gets called for what will be the first foul on the day against Holland.
Portville's already proven dangerously on set plays, and this is something where an advantage to perhaps where Portville is. Coach Giovanni Cambreri, he's just meticulous as the ball gets in with film study, trying to get as much information on his opponents as they can for the Dutchman. There's just not a whole heck of a lot out of there emanating out of Portville. Some great journalism. You might get a couple social media posts. So when they put a new wrinkle in and looking up for their second corner in, it might be hard for their opponents up here in Buffalo.
Brady German to send in the second corner. First resulted in a goal. Second is a header atop the 18 that is met by the left leg of Brian Randolph. Out on the far side, going down is one Portville Panther. They rule it a foul against the Panthers, as going down for Holland on that far side, shaken up on the play, looks to be a Dutchman.
Well, you know, looking at this beautiful complex, and you cannot just give enough accolades to the whole West Seneca School District for just the wonderful job they've done hosting these sectionals. But if I could say anything negative, who chose silver lines for the soccer box lines and out of bounds? Because we saw in the games before,
Cross into the 18, headed out.
That
an offside call eventually will send it the other way.
Exactly. It's sometimes very hard for the defenders and the keepers and the officials and, as you can tell, but to the chagrin of some of the parents here, to pick up exactly their bearings on the field. So we'll have to see how that plays.
At least the yellow boundaries are easy to spot when the ball goes out of play, as it does here for a Holland throw. Just about 8.5 gone by. One shot on goal for Portville. The only marker as Faulkner opens the scoring 2 minutes into play. A free kick coming up on the first foul called against Portville in their own end will set up a Holland free kick.
And as you can see here, this is very much a set play. The Holland player is going to predetermine areas, and it's going to be to see if this number 23, that's going to be William Robertson, if he can put this ball into play.
Two-man wall, 10 yards, not even, away from him. Blocked neatly by the man on the right, Mario Parksucci, though it's sent right back in. And Portville with numbers, sending it up ahead. Michael Cole, one defender to beat, can't get past Jack Galley. Goal kick for Holland.
And I don't think that the Dutchmen of Holland want to get into an aerial battle with Portville. Definite, just by looking at the eye, not looking at the roster, definite size advantage to Portville. It would behoove the Dutchmen to try to keep the ball on the ground and perhaps play through.
Goal kick poked right back ahead by Joe Randolph. Michael Cole goes to work to the touchline. Cole looking to cross it. Cole lays it off. A short pass goes right back to him, which he sends through the uprights for another goal kick.
Well, Portville, and for those unfamiliar perhaps or just watching because you have a relative on the game, it's called football for a reason. And right now, Portville is winning every battle, heading the ball, first one, aggression, getting to the space on the field, and being a bit more physical when need to be. Holland seems to be, they're looking at the bright lights of West Seneca right now, and it looks as if nerves have definitely settled in on the Dutchman side.
The Dutchmen with everyone on their roster that they've wanted to have this season. Though, Rich, as we talked about pregame with the coach, that they haven't had their full bill of health or full roster all season long, and their 6 losses may be a tribute to that.
Absolutely, and again, uncharacteristically, here come the Dutchmen.
Quick, an opportunity in on goal. Troy Van Sickle makes the save. The rebound loose. Anderson tied up in the 6, and Portville clears. And they've got numbers offensively. 4-on-4 break. Set up ahead, looking for Michael Cole. He is snuffed out by Jack Galley, who slid down to make the play again.
Well, I don't think Holland wants to get into an end-to-end full court press, if you will, with the Portville team, but great saves by the Portville keeper, and what a way for the defense to get back and not give up and then just start a counterattack.
So going back, Rich, Holland hasn't had their full roster for a lot of their games this year. 6 losses on the season could be why.
Right. Well, you know what, folks, I was asked this over the weekend. What's the difference between AA, A, B, C, these different divisions that we have in Western New York? They have a thing called BEDS forms. It's basically your school population, but that really doesn't tell the whole story. Portville, rural school, South Central New York State, closer to Pennsylvania than Buffalo. Holland at the end of Route 16. Rural, if you will, the foot of the Appalachian Mountains, start right there. It's 2022. Kids got work. They have family responsibilities with family businesses, and getting in full weeks of practice We've
got a goal from the far side. Gabriel Leach sent a cross in, and it beat Troy Van Sickle. Everyone late to react, including Troy. We're tied at 1.
Sorry to speak all over you, but I am astounded. Gabriel Leach shot an arrow in the air. Where it landed, nobody knew where, but it's in the back of the old onion bag. And on this spooky night, All Hallows Eve, a little bit of trick or treat for the Dutchmen, and we're all tied up.
Gabriel Leach.
Number 9. Yep, Gabriel Leach.
Leach gets his 15th goal on the season as the senior. Looked like he just tried to throw a cross on hoping for a rebound. I mean, that's exactly why you get shots on goal.
How many times, whatever level of, and you were a player yourself, highlight, well, if we had a chance, we had cave paintings representing my games, but you throw it what you think's going to be a cross, you hit it, it bends into the top corner of the net, and you're like, boys, I meant that. Absolutely. It's like a three-pointer off the backboard. I meant that.
I called it.
Yeah, exactly. And, again, we're back dead square even, all tied up, and this is what we've been seeing.
Joe Randolph's cross into the 18 cleared.
And that's what we've been seeing all week long in this sectional play. Nobody's out of it.
Randolph picks it off again, charging down the near sideline. Cole cuts into the middle. Randolph tries to get it to him. Now Cole fires. Deflects. Laid back atop the 18. Randolph fires the left side. It's punched out by Oleski. Portville putting on the pressure against Holland early, though the Dutchmen are able to avoid the pressure.
We're going to have to see how this fast pace goes against what Cambereri usually does with substitutes. Again, Cambereri, very much European. He doesn't do hockey-style changes. Portville, and we don't know how many of those would be JV level or age call-ups, they seem to have a deeper bench just in sheer numbers. Now, we don't know with ability. Again, we haven't really been able to see Portville too much. But this game is at a frantic pace. Not at all what Cambereri wanted coming into the game. Portville, this plays right into their hands. They're athletic, they're fast, they're strong. So to try to wear the Dutchmen down might be something we're going to be seeing throughout this entire match.
And if they can shut down the legs of number 7 in purple, who has it poked away from him for a Portville throw, it could prove to be valuable for Portville.
And Portville, relentless on defense. You think you have them beat on the corner, and again, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 purples in one lane there, Coach Cambereri, and see one throw, beats them.
Here comes Michael Cole, and he is shut down. Jack Galley's been tasked with handling the senior who's got 13 goals and 7 assists on the season, number 8 in white, looking to stretch with his speed. He's done so a couple of times. Now here comes the fast-paced Holland offense. Down the near side wing. Xander Wapperer to the touchline, and a cross goes off of a Panther. It bounces once before Van Sickle grabs and slows things down.
Well, that's something you won't see very much from a Cambereri team, the Dutchmen. They try to use what's called the half space. For those of you maybe not familiar, it's on the American football field between the numbers and the hash mark. Most goals are created there in any level of soccer. Americans love to go to the corner. Crosses, Premier League last year, 100% of the highlights, 1% of the goals. About a 1.68% roughly success rate. High school, it's even less, but they look good. You'll try to see Dutchmen try to bring it in and work it down a little lower in the paint, if you will. But this Portville defense is just not allowing that.
Michael Cole again. Bulls over one. Cole with the keeper. Diving back, a defensive play stops it. Cole still gets a shot, but Oleski's there to keep it out.
Nice save there by Oleski. Seemed to be caught. Do I come out after this ball? Do I stay in my net? And a brave play by the Holland defenders to try to slide tackle in the box. So, again, another corner for Portville.
Brady German connected on the first corner. Second one was a close call. This one handled by the Holland defense, though right back to German on the near side wing. Another chance at a cross, blocked again by Galley. And away from danger it goes, at least momentarily. Joe Randolph lost control of it. Henry Anderson lays it off. Now here's the speed of Wapperer. Lost control.
Wapperer, an Empire United premier product. Cambereri calls him the brain of the midfield. He's an excellent student, but probably his leadership on and off the field, the Dutchman, and if you heard him in pregame warm-ups, he's one of those kids that get people fired up. And when you can back that up with play on the field, it is just as good as gold for any kind of high school level coach.
Wapperer, one of 2 captains on this Holland team. The other, Gabriel Leach, wearing number 9 in purple today. Just off your screen to the right. He leads the team, at least today, in goals with the only one for Holland, tying things up at 1 apiece after Faulkner opened things 2 minutes in. At the 12-minute mark, that's when Leach tied things up.
It was interesting talking to both of these coaches about the makeups of their current teams. Both of these towns, they're in this for the long run. They are very happy to be in this area right now on this stage in West Seneca. But Camberary and the Portville side, this is something they want to keep going for years, just not tonight.
Portville pouring on the pressure. Randolph lets it go through his legs. Holland clears. When you talk about the makeup of these teams, interesting to note, for Portville, they retired 12 seniors last season. They've got a big senior class again this year. And for Holland, all seniors from the midfield up, though defensively back, juniors and a sophomore.
You know, last year they had a goaltender that's now down at Mercyhurst University, Alex Quant. He is a premier-level keeper. Oh, and a missed opportunity. And it was a little older on the back line. They were knocked out of the playoffs last year by the Lafayette Mighty Violets, who are a storied city program with a lot of international players that have come into the Buffalo area, refugees that are just glistening with soccer talent. And Coach Gio knew that they had to get more goals, but they're rebuilding from the back up. So as where the goals are on the top, you can see a little disconcerted effort on the back line right now, perhaps a little nerves with some youngsters.
How about a little nerves from the goalkeeper, Oleski, whose shoe came untied there. He asked for help from William Robertson to tie it, and then Robertson took a bit too long to tie it. So he's hurrying him up just in time before they get called not kicking the goal kick away.
I wonder if Robertson was caught in between if Robertson was caught between one bunny ear, two bunny ears, or was it a loop it, scoop it through? I mean, we taught up here, kids today can't read cursive, let alone if something's not Velcro. So
well, no need to take a shot at the youth. But here, Henry Anderson sends it up ahead looking for Leach. Leach doesn't have the speed to keep up with number 19 in white as Simon Szymanski clears. I beg your pardon, that's Cole Faulkner, the defenseman, who makes the play.
Cole Faulkner scored the first goal, and how much I wish we had one of those analytical trackers, because I don't think Faulkner, if we had a GPS on him, he is cross-country level running right now. He is box to box, and he is the first player to the ball in the offensive zone and the defensive zone.
Perhaps he could have ran from West Seneca East to Portville with all that running he's done so far.
It would be close, and he would be back for halftime. So, listen, Faulkner's been actually playing the Superman role now. He's put on the cape. No Clark Kent right there out on the field.
21 minutes gone by. Portville had the first 2 minutes in. Holland answered on a blooper from the corner where Leach scored his 15th on the season. Portville looking to attack on the right wing. Marcus Wilson carries to the middle. Too far ahead of Brady German.
I'm liking the way Lucas Scanlon's playing defense as he misses that one. If he misses, he gets right back into the play, and he's taking out the flank single-handedly off the Dutchman, which have allowed them to, not allowed them to get outside and really clogged up the middle with the defensive help that he's had.
Xander Whopperer turns it over in his own end. Galley clears up the middle. Portville's there to handle. Brian Randolph sends it up ahead directly to a Holland defender, and Seth Schoenthal gets rid of it.
Seth Schoenthal, he played a little bit for us in Winter League for our Frontier squad. He asked if he could hop in. Puts a lot of work into his craft. Usually you'll see him try to break a defensive line, but I think after that early goal, it seems as if the Dutchmen are just content to clear that first ball up. And I don't know if I'm coaching this game, if I want to get into that midfield battle. Let's try to control it. But again, we talk, Holland does not want to keep the ball in this danger zone.
17 3/4 to go in the first half of play after an overtime thriller ended the first of two from West Seneca East today. The Class D championship wrapping up a bit late. meaning for the late start here in the Class C championship. The last of all of the non-state qualifying rounds that will be played tomorrow in Section 6. Then it's all between the state playoffs from here on out.
You know, just to get to this level, the high school soccer schedule, you played it, I've coached it. Actually, it was a little bit harder with the 18 games about 20 years ago. It's a grind. You have a game every other day at the professional level, 1 game a week, college, 2 games a week. These kids have been playing every other day for the last 8 weeks. It just takes a toll on your body. And to get any kind of respite, like we were talking Ellicottville did, or these guys did right here, it's just a godsend. And, you know, we'll see how that, as the game wears on, what our fitness levels are going to be.
Across to the middle, touched ahead by Marcus Wilson, cleared by Ellicottville, who controls its center, going around Scanlon. Here comes Gabriel Leach. Good defensive work to clear for Portville, and they start to play pong between the 30s.
Leach had a chance to find Anderson, but he eschewed using his left foot, tried an outside right foot flick, which is one of my pet peeves. Anderson had the lane, had a chance to run through, but Leach just couldn't get him the ball.
Leach again. Sends this one to the middle, cleared neatly by the center man of the defense, Logan Ziegler, the sophomore. Gets the call up and the start on the defensive line for Portville.
You know, say what you want about levels of play and where the kids are playing and the competition that they play against. You know, if I'm a parent, if I'm a player, this level here, these Holland Portville teams, coaches putting this much belief in underclassmen. We have freshmen. We have a couple 8th graders on Holland. Portville, the same thing too. Sophomores taking huge roles and rising to the occasion. That's making high school memories right there.
Cross to the center, top of the 18. Good defensive effort from Owen Tijura to clear on the right side.
One of the things I've noticed, after that earlier goal, Oleski in goal for Holland is very wary to get off his line. He's staying back almost like a street hockey goalie, very much different than we saw Mr. Bauer for Ellicottville. Much more diminutive, but he played his angles well, diving at ankles of opponents. Very brave, but almost like he had a protractor out there figuring out these angles, whereas Oleski is staying very near his own goal line.
With Oleski staying so far in, Coach, where do you think Portville should start taking shots from?
Oh, definitely the outside. It's 24 yards by 8 yards. I mean 24 feet by 8 feet. There's yards and acres of space. You start going to the outside, and one of the things I've always said about high school ball, sometimes it's very difficult to get a 5-foot pass, but I guarantee you that shot at the keeper from 40 yards is going right at his belly button. So you have to start making those corners, and we practice this all the time. I'm sure Coach Abril did it with you. Hey, goals count more. Let's hit it in the side netting. Mm-hmm. All right, and you guys were seriously, you guys practicing against a goalie the ilk of Ryan Moretta that you played on. If you scored in practice, that was a darn good goal to beat Ryan Moretta.
Well, unless they had me as his backup on the other end in a scrimmage, well, then you knew you were having a good day as a forward attacking with Moretta behind you. But regardless, here in the Class C championship, they've got 2 good keepers in front of these 2 teams, though both have suffered a goal against already, as Portville continues to possess a lot more. I'm starting to think, Rich, you had your notes flipped because we've seen Portville play a possession game and Holland play a fast-paced, send-the-ball-up-ahead game.
Absolutely, and that I did not expect that whatsoever. And what's interesting about Portville, like we talked about how similar soccer is to basketball in its offense. You can see the way Portville's using almost like a point guard distribution. They're getting to the top of the 18. If it's not open, if a forward can't turn, midfielder can't turn, they're so calm working it back to their second level of their holding midfielders and looking for that space, which they know is going to come time and time again. Very patient. Props to Portville, because I would have bet against it if wagering were allowed on high school games.
We'll see if FanDuel gets on that anytime soon. Marcus Wilson controls for Portville. Brian Randolph sends it up ahead. Turning shot and a goal! Michael Cole from the top of the 18, off the right bar and in. Portville regains the lead.
What did we talk about? Getting the ball down low in the paint like it's a point guard, trying to distribute. Holland doesn't body up at them, allowed the young man to turn. Where does he shoot? The outside of the net, off the post and in. I don't care, Valetsky's David De Gea for Manchester United. Nobody's getting that one, and it's 2-1 for Portville.
Michael Cole, not the one from the WWE, though Cole buries his 14th goal on the season, and it could be the biggest of the year, as Holland hasn't had even one good chance. I wouldn't even consider their one goal a good opportunity, though it just bounced its way in.
Absolutely not. And again, as we talked about before, that Holland wanted to play possession, but Cole gets the ball back. He pots it in the net. I don't care what level we're playing. That was a goal scorer's goal. That was a highlight reel goal. I wish I would be able to rewind that and see who put the assist right at his feet. Cole's able to turn, one quick deft flick, and in the net.
First corner kick of the game for Holland on the near side. Sent to the back of the 6 and headed away by the defense of Simon Szymanski. Stepping into a long shot, trying to throw it towards the goal, was Jax Schoenthal, though that misses for a goal kick.
Yeah, that's just a desperation clearance there. And one of the things you see with the difference between Portville and Holland, where it comes back to their players, Henry Anderson, trying to turn into pressure, take on 3 or 4 guys, where Portville, the same thing, brought it back out, then back to Cole. He puts it in. That went to Schoenthal, and that was just speculative at best.
Holland's defense trying to shut down Cole, but number 8 just will not stop churning the legs. He gets taken down for the second foul on Holland in the first half. 11:03 to go, and the clock has stopped as a yellow card has been issued to Jacob Zeitzen. Or Leitzan, I beg your pardon.
Much deserved there, and that's one of those fouls you hate to take that yellow card, but someone the ilk of Cole, that kid's a load. I mean, he has the body of a high school halfback, and he beats that Holland defender. He is in on net. So Portville in a dangerous area with their set play so far.
Brian Randolph has 3 goals and 4 assists on the season. The senior lines up to take it with the left foot. 35 yards away from the goal. All but one Panther lined up on the opposite side. Randolph sends it directly on goal. Diving stop to the left. Oleski's there, and it's cleared for a goal kick.
You know, I'm wondering here, and this is just speculation putting that out, with the goal that Holland scored and the reaction of Letsky has over the last 2 goals, I'm wondering if there's any, because there is a little bit of moisture left over in the air. I wouldn't call it fog, but as we look at the lights, I'm wondering if both of these gentlemen are having a little bit trouble with the lights, because the way Holland scored their goal, it was almost as if he never saw the ball, like a center fielder losing a pop-up in the sun.
That's a good point. It's definitely dark out, pitch black on Halloween night. Just over 10 minutes to go in the first half of play.
And it's definitely been a house of horrors for Holland right now, because the Dutchmen, I don't think this is the game they expected, from the coaching staff down to the fans. And the Portville fans, they're a little bit quiet now, but it is almost library type quiet on the Holland side.
There again, a clear from Holland will give plenty of time for the Panthers to set up. Along the near side, Cole Faulkner had the first goal of the game and delivers a cross up ahead. Looking for Brady German. He eventually gets it. German fights with Seth Schoenthal, who plays it to the opposite side. Tegan Engasser goes back and forth along the far sideline, now chipped in by Joe Randolph.
As you talked about, Jack, the coaching points totally flipped on this one. You're seeing desperation out of Holland, and Holland's the team now that is...
through the 18.
Playing
Carter.
in between the hash marks where Portville's using this entire massive field.
Carter taken down out of bounds. Good hustle from Braden, the sophomore, earning his team a throw.
I don't think Holland's really probably strung together 2 passes where Portville's moving it around.
Shots on goal 4-1 in favor of the Panthers.
And I wouldn't say Portville. We talked about European panache of flair. Portville looks very much like a very good D3 NCAA team.
Mm-hmm.
Physical, technical, and just speedy, and they're getting the job done.
Winning the 50-50s as well as they continue to fight for loose balls. This one, 15 yards away. A long shot. They score!
Side netting shot again.
Brian Randolph capitalizes from distance. His 4th on the season gives the Panthers a 3-1 lead.
Again, let's talk about number 8, Michael Cole from Portville. That ball comes in the middle, right? Holds off 2 defenders, playing his back to the ball. Cycles it back into the second-level midfielder, who's able to pot it in the net through a crowd and beat Oleski low to his left. Cole is not only scoring goals, but he's creating goals, and he's creating space for the other players. Portville, just a masterful game here in this first half.
And they continue to keep possession on. Along the near side, turning his way and sending a cross in was Brady German. That's cleared aside. Now played out as bodies continue to hit the turf left, right, and center for the Panthers as there is a Holland Dutchman on the turf on the near side. That's William Robertson, who keeps trying to pop up to his feet, though he goes right back down.
He got tangled up with, it looked like one of his own players and then one of the Portville players, but if this were American football, I would tell Holland to call timeout. It's one of those, you don't want the match to get away from you. And unlike many other sports, the coach can't call timeout. In the vernacular of the young people, Holland looks a bit shook.
It's true. They do. Although William Robertson there, to his credit, he pops up quickly and runs off the field, or jogs, albeit. You almost wish he stayed on the turf, stop the clock, and give his team a chance to talk.
Yeah, you have the adolescent testosterone-filled competitor. He wants to come off the field, but sometimes, hey, stay down. You've seen that happen at any level of sports. Like, hey, we need a minute here. Let's catch our breath. But again, another very dangerous area free kick for Portville.
Would you say 75% of goals between those numbers and the hashes here?
Yeah, that's where it creates. Plus the diagonal that's going to come through. Look what the movement, what Cole will do, number 8 to our right.
Randolph towards the goal. One save, still loose. Oleski's able to handle it on the rebound.
Oleski's having a tough time. I don't know if it's the lights or just the occasion, but I've seen these young men play a couple times live and on film, and spilling out rebounds. Sometimes it's like a hot potato out there.
7:10 to go in the first half. The number 2 seeded Portville Panthers. What Coach J.J. McIntosh in his 13th season says is his most overachieving team he's ever had. They have a 3-1 lead on the number 1 seeded Holland Dutchman.
One of the things at halftime, what both these coaches say at halftime, JJ, keep doing what you're doing. You can tell this is an experienced coach coaching at this level. Coach Gio, Holland making one of the cardinal mistakes a lot of high school teams make. They're doing the wrong things harder. It looks like you're playing real hard, but you don't need to take on 3 guys. If there's 3 guys in front of you, it means 2 people are open. So look for the short pass, start to get some possession, because I would have to say possession in this game, probably 70-30, maybe 80-20 for Portville. Definitely not what both teams were looking at, but Portville, and again, possession given away.
It was just like you're saying there. Oleski just hurried a punt for no reason there and just kicked it straight up in the air. If he was an NFL punter, he'd be hearing boos coming off the field on 4th down.
Exactly. I wouldn't call it a shank. So much to speak. It's a rush punt. It's one of those punts where you don't have the prerequisite 13 in the end zone, and sometimes a pro punter gets a bad one off. this is what happens too. In the end, we can say all we want. They're just a bunch of kids from Portville and Holland. And, they have nerves too. They're trying the best they can. And it's part of the coaching staff and the captain. Settle these guys down. Let's have a little fun. We've seen some miraculous comebacks this whole sectional team. And look at Cole just holding 3 defenders off, Jack.
Good defensive work, though, from Henry Anderson to get back and end the breakout. But even here, possession right back to Portville. Simon Szymanski surveys the defense and delivers a strike right off of the back of Frankie Schermach. Frankie fights for possession, though Portville gains it. Now off of a Dutchman and out along the near sideline. Holland's got to find a way to keep possession at this point.
And they do have players, illegal throw right there. They do have players open, and it's very unlike Holland, where they're not just finding the open feet. They're just not finding the open space and trying for a long ball, and here they go.
Here's open space for Henry, though he can't make the run fast enough. Good defensive clear from Cole Faulkner.
What did we talk about Faulkner, right? There's that old adage, right? Water covers 3/4 of the earth. Cole Faulkner tonight is covering the other 25%. He is everywhere. He's omnipresent, as they would say.
That one bounced off 2 heads. It eventually is ruled a Holland possession on the throw, to the dismay of Braden Carter, who thought that went off of Frankie Schermach's head last.
And you'll see, it looked like Xander Wapera, right? This kid who plays very well, with his feet, keeping the ball on his feet, and then they're just trying to just bounce it around with their head, where if you settle that, you can go around it. You would think that nerves would be gone off of one side, but you still can't let the game get bigger than what it is. There's so much time remaining, and there's so much space. It's just Portville, not only has they taken advantage of the chances that they've had, they've created more chances, and that's the difference in this game.
Holland with a chance to move possession down the near sideline. A heavy throw to the left of Anderson. Touchdown by Leach. Leach turns his way to the middle. One man breaking to his right. Feeds it through. 2 defenders collide. They hit the turf. Whistles blow. What's the ruling here? A free kick for Holland. Perhaps their best opportunity on the day. 22 yards away.
So now Holland was able to move the ball down the field, but they had 8 players within this side of the football hash marks. Anderson was all by himself, but I know their coaches. They try to play a positional game with 5 lanes. 8 in 1 is not going to connect anything. You're not going to get any possession. So this is a huge free kick, 23 yards out or so.
Leach will take it with the left. A 5-man wall directly in front of him. Van Sickle in the center of the net. Floater from Leach looking upper right 90. Missed high.
Again, that's sometimes you get so amped up. You lean a little bit back on the kick instead of getting your knee over the ball, and Leach, I guess he tried to move the wall by pretending he was going to be a left-footed shot, but he ran around it like an NFL kicker trying to do an onside kick. And unfortunately, he put it through for an extra point, I believe, but not the points that Holland was looking for.
When you're down 3-1 in a game like this and you have that opportunity from straight away, do you almost wish Leach just lines up normally and takes control of the situation?
Oh, absolutely. You don't need trickery here. If you put one in with 1:46 left, and the Portville keeper, we've said both keepers have struggled with the light. Some balls have been rebounded off his hands. You have Anderson that's been able to get in great areas. Why not? No need to waste chances.
Braden Carter in the near corner. 90 seconds to go. Trying to feed it in front, deflects off a Panther towards the goal line, still loose, punching it out. Oleski kept it out.
Wow.
Michael Cole's arguing with his forward, Braden Carter, about something. But play continues, and the fans don't like it for Portville. And now a Panther hits the turf.
Well, we've talked about the nerves. Someone on that Holland side, whether it be Coach Cambereri as one of his assistants, just got to take Oleski on the side and say, hey, calm down. It's a high school soccer game. Let's have some fun. we're just happy to be here. You don't have to take more responsibility than you need to, because right now he just seems to be a little overwhelmed with the situation. But then again, if I had Michael Cole on my doorstep, I might be a little worried also.
Straight away, a shot, that one handled by Oleski on the free kick. Perhaps a confidence booster for the junior as he punts this one away beautifully across midfield. Looking for Henry Anderson. High touch to the right side. Anderson watches as it's controlled by Ziegler and booted out of play. This will likely wind down the half.
And who was the first Portville player there? Cole Faulkner. Again, the kid, you would think there's more than him out here.
A final long send up ahead will end the first half of play with the Portville Panthers in their first sectional final appearance this century, going back to 1995. The Panthers take a 3-1 lead over the number 1 seeded Holland Dutchmen to the break. We'll take a break and come back with a recap of half number 1, a look at the stats and more as we look forward to half number 2 on the intermission report after this on the NFHS Network.
Hey, conductor, how about something new? You played this last year.
Come on, get your head out of your sacks.
We're trying to hear.
Well, I'm sick and tired of hearing your kid play the wrong notes. Where's my kid solo?
At least you can see your kid. Why is my kid stuck way in the back?
The conductor only plays his favorites.
My kid heard that solo.
You saying I did?
Participate.
Where does greatness start?
Here, in the classroom. On the stage.
In the pool. On the field. Where will your greatness take you?
To better grades.
To more friends. Yeah! Be great. Participate!
The innocence of youth. Is there anything any better? But soon they'll be in high school and facing all the same challenges you faced. How to make friends, how to fit in, how to be cool. We want our children to have everything they'll need to live fulfilling and productive lives. Make sure the kids in your family are among the more than 12 million participants in America who take part in high school sports or activities.
He's going to take it himself for a championship! A double play wins it from Frazier! Turn it to the end zone. What a catch! McIntyre touchdown! Wins it! The championship!
High school sports fans, relive your favorite moments. Just click the shopping cart below the video player to get your digital copy today. High school sports fans, relive your favorite moments. Just click the shopping cart below the video player to get your digital copy today.
Hey, conductor, how about something new? You played this last year.
Come on, get your head out of your sacks.
Shh, we're trying to hear.
Well, I'm sick and tired of hearing your kid play the wrong notes. Where's my kid solo?
At least you can see your kid. Why is my kid stuck way in the back?
The conductor only plays his favorite.
I can earn that solo!
You see what I did?
Yeah,
Come on! What's wrong with
Back at halftime, it's a 3-1 lead for Portville over Holland. The number 2 seeded Panthers have dominated just about every facet of the game as we welcome you back on the NFHS Network. Jack Cruiser, Rich Kozak with you. Rich, when you look at the first half, you can talk about the quick goals that were scored. The goal at the second minute from Faulkner that opened the scoring. Holland responded on a fluke from Leach, but a goal from Cole and Randolph has Portville just dominating every area of the game.
You know, I guess I'm not much of a pregame prognosticator, but if you're looking at the sheer numbers and the film that was available to us looking at both of these teams, it is the total antithesis of what one might have expected, except the Portville faithful in front of us, talking to their coach before the game. Again, cliche is just happy to be here, but not only happy, but executing play after play. You know anything about sports? All three of those goals were not luck. They were created. A set dummy play on the first corner kick within the first 2 minutes of the match. And then later in the game, and one of the things I love, I mean, we can look at his sheer athleticism, but Michael Cole is a kid. If you're a college coach and you're looking to build perhaps even at the D3 or JUCO level, you phone Portville, you get Michael Cole right now, because this is a kid who understands athletics and understands the game. If you're a basketball aficionado, look at the way he plays point guard. He's maybe not a Dominic Welch scoring, your guy, but he's dishing the ball off left and right. He scores, he assists. He's the talisman for this Portville team.
And when J.J. McIntosh was asked about his defensive strategy going against a Holland team with a 23-goal scorer in Henry Anderson, a 14-goal scorer in Gabriel Leach, as we're underway in half number 2, he said the Panthers need to defend, not getting cute, just play defense hard and aggressively. As the Panthers, with the first opportunity of the second half, it's blocked away inside the 18 as Seth Schoenthal laid down and kept it out.
Well, that could have been disastrous. And again, another quick corner for Portville. Again, Oleski seemed to be caught in no man's land. Do I come out? Do I stay in here? And Schoenthal, he stopped it from being a 4-1 lead.
First corner of the half for Portville, cleared aside by the head of Jack Galley for a throw.
Now, Portville, just keep doing what you're doing, all right? Hopefully Cambereri, and I'm sure he changed the formation here, because it seems that early on, anything that was worked on before isn't showing, it isn't working for Holland. So a coach of that ilk, he's going to try to move some things around, but you know, to go in an old football adage, sometimes it's not X's and O's, it's Jimmy and Joe's. And right now it's like Jimmy, Joe, and Michael are the ones, well, what a play to the half space there, are the ones making a difference play after play. And you talked about that, Jack, 50-50 balls on the ground, balls on the air, and defense. Portville's winning every facet of this game.
We'll see if Holland changes things offensively, perhaps getting more physical, as Henry Anderson lays it to the middle and Galley sends it to the near side. Across midfield, Holland's got some numbers, though winning possession is Braden Carter, who evades Gabriel Leach and finds an attacker. Now give and go as Portville takes back over offensively. There you see a perfect example. 2 numbers for Holland. Portville comes away with possession.
They come away from possession, beat them back to the ball, and once the defender, Schoenthal, had a chance to just get that ball back, and here comes Cole.
What a beautiful feed, diving attempt, and Oleski stops the break, and then a shot from 18 away is sent over the goal by Brady German.
Now, I don't know if you're a fan of the early 2000s film The Patriot with Mel Gibson in it, but there comes a point where someone's just got to stop and pick up the flag. All right? When all seems lost, who's going to be the one that just rallies the troops? And right now, the Dutchmen are looking at each other for someone to be a hero, but maybe they have to look in some sort of imaginary mirror to do so.
Well, perhaps this Portville run is one that Mel Gibson will take as his next feature film, as this has been an unprecedented year for the Panthers, not having made a sectional tournament this century. 37 years later, they're back taking on a team that also didn't have too many high expectations for Holland this season, though they've got a winning tradition going back 20, 30, 40, 50 years for the Dutchman soccer program.
Absolutely. But again, we're playing these games today. I love nostalgia. I'd love to be there, but this game's being played in 2022. Though I will tell you, Jack, 1985 was one heck of a year.
Well, I heard they had Springsteen, Madonna. It was way before Nirvana, but regardless.
Bring it out. Hold on. Let me bring my Apple Music on there. Yeah.
1985. Well, I mean, that was 10 years prior to the last time Portville was here, but you wouldn't guess it by the way they've played here today.
You know, in control of every facet of the situation, and there we go again. A miscue by the Holland defender where where the Holland defender has a chance to clear the ball but gives away another corner. What corner is that now for Portville?
Well, that's the fifth. This will be the fifth.
The fifth right here, and they're dangerous every single time.
Cole snuffed out. Cole still hard after it. Now on the far side, back to the corner taker. Atop the 18, a long shot. Brian Randolph didn't settle it down.
And that, again, any chance that Holland has to quell the storm, they're content, or maybe not content, or just unprepared, and give the ball in the possession in this position to just give the ball back. And you can't give Portville the ball, because we see already they'll take their time, they'll get it, they want the ball. And to have, you talked about defensively, possession is the best defense you can have. If the other team doesn't touch the ball, which Holland hasn't done for this match, what do you need to worry about?
The Dutchmen will get a chance to start the way they'd like to. Just about 5 minutes gone by in the second half. Holland hasn't had possession past midfield once in the first 5 minutes. They start from their old goal line with a goal kick. Looking for Anderson. 50-50, yet again, won by Portville. Cole gets bumped off the ball. Good defensive work from Jacob Leitzen. Though good work right back at you. Mario Pacucci sends it towards the goal. A diving save. Oleski keeps it out.
Yeah, Oleski definitely fighting the ball, and it doesn't matter where the shots are coming from, whether it be 5 yards or 50 yards. The skidding off the turf, perhaps the lights, but definitely, and as he comes out to now right here, Mr. Oleski, just let your players get back. Let's set this up. Still 35 minutes is an eternity.
Just a high boot. Touched first by Joe Randolph. And now Holland with possession. A long stretch pass ahead. Anderson settles. Working one-on-one. Simon Szymanski comes away with it to the sideline. He clears up ahead.
And well, again, here comes Portville.
Beautiful passing. Braden Carter stops it inside, sends it to the center. A touch goes just wide. A corner kick as the block was made by Jax Schoenthal.
We talked about the half space. Well, a masterful use of the half space to get that ball in the area between the football numbers and the football hash mark, create the most goals in soccer, just technical ability. You don't need much when it's there. And again, the dummy play that scored on the first goal. You don't need much technical ability, which they are showing, if the ball's in the place you want it all the time. A lot of times it looks like soccer is a very random game. No, sir. Portville is creating every opportunity that they have here on this field. Another thing what is uncharacteristic of Holland, if you're a baseball fan, New York Yankees ran into trouble again in the playoffs because they relied on the home run ball. Well, that seems what Holland is trying to do. Long ball to try to get it to Anderson, their goal scorer. But with the defensive Portville on him 4 and 3-on-1, you're not seeing much.
A pass to the center. Gabriel Leach is there. He thought it was going to be blocked, so he came back to play defense. If he had stayed put at the top of the 18, Leach would have been one-on-one with Van Sickle.
Looked like Braden Carter, who was back there, and he made up 10 or 12 yards on Leach.
A throw on the near side for Seth Schoenthal. To the center, it's settled.
Every time Anderson touches the ball, there are 3 white kits right around him.
A steal for Galley.
And first time we've seen, and ball given away once again, first time we've seen the defenders from Holland try to break the first line of pressure of Portville. It worked that time, but immediately, ball given right away, and now another deep throw-in for Portville, and they've been dangerous on throw-ins also.
Jacob Leitzen clearing it. Picked up a yellow card in the first half. He's got to be clean in half number 2, if not to hurt his team. Down 3-1. 8.5 gone by in the second half. Portville still controlling most possession throughout the course of this contest. The throw into the top of the 18 cleared by Seth.
Anderson rushes out. Again, it seems that for every reaction or every counter that Portville has someone back there. Now, perhaps a little bit of over-dribbling by Cole, but ball is won right back. You know, it's been said that Cole again tries to get on his left foot. and sprayed out.
Michael Cole.
Michael Cole, right now, if we had to give out man of the match for the first half and the early part of the second half, we're not even seeing what this young man can do for the next 30 minutes. But he has definitely been the focal point for Portville, and deservedly so. Must have been the whole season. But, you know, a team, Holland gets it back, and Pep Guardiola always says a team is most susceptible to give a ball back once they earn it and get that ball, because they're disorganized. And you saw that happen to Leach, right? If he would have stayed put, that ball falls on his feet, gives it away. Holland defense has actually won some balls. As soon as they get it, back to Portville. Oleski punches that one away.
The fifth corner attempt for Portville goes for naught. At least of this half. They're eighth overall. Holland's just one. That just speaks to the possession in the offensive end.
And again, I did not see this happening. But then again, the reconnaissance we were able to do on Portville and Holland, these guys, listen, I'm not going to say a program is turtling, but Portville's good.
Cross in front, right into the gut of Oleski.
I think McIntosh was being a bit modest because these kids can play.
A punt all alone to Brian Leach, or Gabriel Leach, rather. He plays it up ahead. Back for Leach. He's got to do some magic here, 1-on-2. It's a turnover into the feet of Lucas Scanlon.
Now, Leach, if you look, what's happening now is Portville's leaving their midfield open because they figured out what Holland's going to do. If you look, there were two holding midfielders. If Leach just picks up his head, looks to his left, there's nobody watching Anderson on the other side.
Through ball ahead, Oleski's there. But you even see from Portville all the space of the field. You said the widest field they've probably played on all season. They're still not even using it, just as you see here, sending it up ahead, looking for the home run pass. Though when you've hit 3 home runs on the day, why stop?
Exactly. You know, and if I'm Holland, if I'm Coach Cambereri, I'm moving my guys outside the football out-of-bounds lines to this huge swath of yellow that you see, just to try to spread out these Portville defenders, because there's no space out there for Anderson. And you've seen, and we've mentioned that before in the Ellicottville game and Maple Grove game, it settles in, and American kids want to play inside the football lines. And you're leaving 1,500 square feet of space open that both teams can utilize, and they're just not.
Well, you know, soccer players, they all want to be football players, American football players, right?
Well, you're a singer, right? All rock stars want to be actors, and all actors want to be rock stars.
There you go. It's true. It's a true omen. Though here, Portville's controlled possession not only within the American football lines, but the full field offensively as well. They earn themselves a throw deep down the right sideline to the top of the 18, allowing it to drop. Randolph leaves it there. Joe has it stolen off his foot. Gabriel Leach. As Anderson runs up the gut, he's 1-on-4 on the defensive side for Portville. And Anderson's going to take possession after a miscue from the Portville defenders. A pass to Leach. Perhaps some magic for the Holland Dutchman. Anderson can't win the 50-50. Simon Szymanski does. Anderson still working. Tries to gain position. They both take a spill. Possession goes to Portville.
You know, right now, there's a little less than 30 minutes left, 27 minutes left. So if you're out there on the sidelines, what are you yelling, Coach, right? What are you saying to your – hey, we don't need 2 goals right away. You can only score 1 at a time. Of course, you have to keep the ball out of your own net, but break this 27 minutes. Hey, let's get a goal within the first 10, and then let's work on the next one. Very similar to what Maple Grove was able to do to tie the game up. You can't get 3 goals. There's no 3-point play in soccer.
We did see a comeback in the game right before this, the Class D championship between Maple Grove and Ellicottville. Was a 2-0 lead for Ellicottville. They blew that. A hat trick from Eli Moore of Maple Grove made it 3-2 before Ellicottville tied it in the final 5 minutes of regulation. They would go on to win in double overtime. So all is not to be thrown away for Holland, though that game in Class D was much more even than this in terms of possession and passing. Though Holland looks to change that here.
and they still have enough time left. They had a fortuitous cross that went into the top corner of the net that no one in this place figured out. It fooled you, fooled me, fooled our cameraman, everyone here. But now it's getting to the point, about 25 minutes left. Now, I want to give a shout-out, Allegheny Limestone Gators coach, legend in the Southtowns, Olean area, John Luce, listening to us, right? There's a saying, game knows game. Well, he's just reached out to us right now, and he said as good as Cole is on the soccer field, he's even a better baseball player. He plays center field pitches, has all the school records for stolen bases, and he still has senior season coming up in the spring. Ooh. So Michael Cole is almost like a decathlete. He's good in every event, right? So game knows game. Thank you, Coach Luce, for getting that out to us. And I can't say enough about what we have the Allegheny Limestone program come up to Frontier. I mean, it is, if you haven't been, we talk about Friday Night Lights. Do a Friday night soccer game down at Allegheny Limestone, just down the road from my alma mater, St. Bonaventure University. And what an electric atmosphere. You like what Portville's bringing to you? Multiply that by 5. Just a great time out there. So shout out to Coach Luce. Thanks for the information.
How about that on Michael Cole? Can't say I'm surprised. He's a multi-sport athlete and dominant in another sport.
You just see this right now and you're like, yep, pretty much. Yeah, I get it. No lies detected.
Cole, I'm sure, has got to be getting looks to play at the next level, whatever that level may be. I would assume with his ability, be it on the pitch or the diamond, he'll continue after this season. Though his soccer season most likely will not be over after tonight, as the winner of this match will play the winner of Section 5 in the crossover in the first of 3 New York State tournament games. On roads to the state championship, Portville still in possession, even though deep in their own end.
And I just cannot, if Portville holds on to this score here, I cannot imagine what kind of buzz is going to be in Portville, because these kids will be hometown heroes. First time this century with a chance to make the state tournament, and just the way they be playing. These guys are, hometown heroes, household names, and they're deserving every accolade right now because this game has been total domination.
How about players like Brian and Joe Randolph, brothers on the team, doing this together? An unbelievable experience to get to play with a brother, not only at the high school level, but to play in a sectional championship and dominate the way they have tonight.
We've talked about this, and not to get away from the game, but the speedy Cole.
Well, it looked as the AR1 on the far side and an offside ruling. Mm-hmm. So that's coming way back.
You talk about it. You're a little bit closer to your glory days than I am. But I always tell my teams that sports are all about moments, whether it be, a practice, a moment you share, perhaps a team bonding dinner. But can you string these moments into becoming lifelong memories? And that's what Portville has done right now. From the opening kickoff, they have had purpose, and they've just dominated every area of this, where Holland and at any other given day, as we see Anderson trying to get in there deep, that it may have worked, but Portville is just prepared as much as any high school soccer team that I've seen this year.
Just one foul so far in the second half as we approach the midway point in just a couple of minutes. Holland taking that.
Well, very good officiating crew out here. I mean, even the fourth official, Andy Evenhouse, Captain Cash, the former WPHD promotions director. When you bring someone who's the head of referees for a fourth referee, I think from top to bottom, the officiating in this boys sectional has been just absolutely outstanding. And you can't say enough about the level of officiating just all around, because they're letting the players play. They're the ones making the difference. And it's been enjoyable to broadcast, and you can hear the fans here. Just been enjoyable to watch.
Jamal Ben Abdallah, the head official, letting things go for the most part in half number 2. Joe Zwack, the AR1, Patrick O'Hara, the second assistant referee on the near sideline.
And I think it helps that all these gentlemen were pretty darn good players back in their day. And when you get to a game of this importance, they're just letting the kids play. And look at Portville. Now Portville's starting to stretch, starting to play a little bit outside those American football lines.
Gabriel Leach trying to go one-on-one. He can't win the race, though Henry Anderson does. Henry serves it to the middle, easily grabbed by Brady German, who sends it up the near side for Braden Carter. A beautiful pass up ahead, looking for his attacker. Turning his way inside was Mario Pasucci. Pasucci backs down Anderson, who delivers a pass up the middle. Brian Randolph sends it right back. Another chance for Carter. Tries to cut to the middle. It deflects off of a Holland Dutchman and out, though we've got time as a Dutchman ties a shoelace back in the offensive end.
I really wish sometimes, and for those of you guys listening at home, high school sports, we can only give you what you give us. Jack, what you're doing for local sports, Frank Wolf, everybody at Western New York Athletics, and now on NFHS, you look at the local paper, limited resources, right? Mm-hmm. So we hope that the coaches and ADs can give us some information, but I would not be surprised if Pescucci was a multi-sport athlete, because he just, the pedigree in which, just the way he runs, his gait, it's almost it's effortless, and he's blowing past two defenders. So there's quite a bit of athleticism out on this Portville side.
Graduating 12 seniors last year. That shot goes high and wide. You wouldn't guess it based on these Portville Panthers here today. You'd assume they've all been playing with each other their whole lives.
Oh, you would have to think in a community as tight-knit as Portville is. But you know what? It also helps with that because you have the watching, loving eyes of your community. So these kids have been since Little League, U4, U6, probably their basketball leagues, and scouts and the school play and band and everything. And you could tell because right now I saw a couple, I would assume their dads or grandparents, they were leading cheers as if they were part of the cheer squad themselves and getting high fives and loving every minute of it. And I think that's maybe a little bit, and I thought it was one of the great things you had at your Cheektowaga years, school spirit. Because that needs to be manufactured, that culture, and Portville definitely has it. They're exuding it right now for a high school soccer game.
Talk about stringing moments along to create memories, not just memories for the kids on the field, but also the parents, getting to know the other parents on the team. That whole experience, raising your kid through the high school soccer system and having it culminate at a sectional championship game and all the games prior where they're able to start these chants and form those relationships and what I assume will turn into Super Bowl parties later on. All these moments connect to create a special year for all these families involved.
I at the risk of being a bit lachrymose, I was talking with official Pat O'Hara before the game. He got to officiate my daughter's last game for Frontier. Heartbreaking 1-0 loss. And he's like, your daughter's a senior. Yeah. And I talked about the car rides, going to practice, just sharing those little moments. That's what I'm going to miss. She's our youngest. And, we try to enjoy each moment as they can. And my wife said last night, as she was writing a letter to the other soccer moms, as they're going to take over next year, what she's going to miss the most. And those are those bonds that you make. Because there's going to be guys standing up in your wedding, all right, that we're playing t-ball with you. Mm-hmm. And this is the same thing that's going to happen for these young gentlemen. And Portville, their story's yet to be written. We're halfway through. Can Holland change that story?
16:50 to go. Shot right on Oleski. A beautiful save on a clinical shot. Oleski had to dive to stop the rebound from popping out, keeping it 3-1.
Oleski with a nice save there, probably his best of the game. He's made a couple reaction saves, but I would have liked a little better distribution to move that ball up. And again, the keeper has to be the first forward in the modern game. And right now, there's been no connection from keeper to defender, from defender to midfielder, and I wouldn't even say forward because Leach is by himself and Anderson, and they've yet to get any ball service to him. So just that disjointedness that I did not think I would see with the Holland team. No disrespect, you can't get here by accident, but maybe you didn't, but I witnessed 4 Super Bowl consecutive losses, so I know what can happen to great teams.
The 2 best teams in Class C, the number 1 and number 2 seeds. We've seen that across all of the sectional brackets except for one, which is the B2 championship between the 5 seed and the 6 seed. That was, I think, prior to today's games, one of the games of the week. It's tough to pick a game of the weekend as every game has been so good.
And, that what happens. You look at the divisions. I mean, I talk about our AA division. It's like having 4 Tom Brady-led New England Patriots in one division. Just for a team like our Frontier team to get out of our division, it's incredibly tough. But if you look at Grand Island, who had a great run at the end, you just got to get hot at the right time. It's a long season. It's an injury-filled season. It's a fatigue-filled season. And but for these teams to rise to the occasion time and time again, the credit to the work that's put in by the players and the coaches. I mean, it's not the most financially lucrative position to be a high school coach, but it is very rewarding.
The Far West Regionals will take place on Friday, November 4th at Spencerport. Portville attacking inside the box, draw a goal kick. The Class C game will be on Friday, a 5 o'clock kickoff, where the winner of this match will play the winner of Section 5, all eyeing down the state championships in just a couple weeks.
Well, 14 and a half minutes remaining here in the second half. Portville leads by a score of 3-1 over the Holland Dutchmen, and I would have to think Holland's going to have to start pushing just trying to make anything happen. Very rarely have they crossed midfield this whole half as Leach comes back, gets the ball over to Cole.
Michael Cole, right on goal. Oleski. He's looked sharp. Give him credit. Oleski, after letting in a couple early in the first half, and throughout the first half that shook him up, he's been sharp in half number 2.
He's made some big saves to keep Holland into this game, but now you move up? And I guess there is, all the cliches come in again. They're there because they're true. All right, yes, you have to worry about Cole, man-mark Cole, but start moving some players up. Because right now, if you look in the middle of the field, there is a cavernous space where there are no purple jerseys. There are no white jerseys. And all year long, Holland's been able to manipulate that space to get them their wins. They have eschewed that and chosen not to use any of the midfield. And it might have something to do with the athleticism of Portville as Leach gets the ball and he'll try to bring it in.
Met immediately by 2 Portville defenders. Leach continues to make something happen. Brian Randolph's there to clean up the trash.
If you're looking at Leach, it's just frustration, and frustration leading to the wrong decision. Leach was 1 on 3, tried to dribble, tried to dipsy doodle, but if you look, you had 3 Holland forward players up against 2 defenders. There was your chance right there, but Leach chose to over-dribble, thereby playing defense for Portville.
It seems in a game that Holland has been chasing since the first 2 minutes of the game when Faulkner scored, though they tied it 10 minutes later on a Leach cross from about 30 yards away from the corner that beat the keeper, Van Sickle. In a game that they've been chasing, they almost need to break those European norms and play go-get-it soccer.
Exactly, and you're reading my mind, Jack, because I'm looking right now. We talked about the last time Portville was able to be successful at this level. Well, it's back to the future because they've just moved to a stopper-sweeper, something I absolutely despise. But guess what? At this level and many levels, it works. There's a level in front of your defense. There's a level in back of your defense. And no matter what Holland tries, they just can't break that wall.
And at this point, great coaching from J.J. McIntosh to change that strategy. Now you see as many as 5 back on the defensive front in front of that sweeper. No dribbling, no amount of dribbling or fancy passing is going to get you past 6 defenders between you and Van Sickle.
It's a game of numbers. You want to get superiority in numbers, and that's exactly what Holland, who's used it all year long, has not had. You want to get your 2v1s, your 3v2s, your 4v3s. Well, you're 1v5. It's like Anderson against the world. And when you have that long ball up there, I always tell my players, the quicker a ball comes out, it's going to go right back. And with Portville, these multi-sport athletes, you put a ball in the air, it's not going through. And if you put it through on the ground, they have somebody back there to cover, almost like a free safety.
Here they'll play the possession game. Cole Faulkner looks to change fields up the middle. 10.5 to go in the second half of play. A 3-1 lead for Portville that they had at halftime. It's not been for a lack of chances that they've stayed with a 2-goal lead. 3 shots on goal in half number 2, all incredible saves from Ryan Oleski. Overall, shots are 8-1 in favor of Portville. The 1 shot on goal, I don't know if you can even consider it a shot on goal, looked to be a cross from this man, Gabriel Leach, who there officially registers the 2nd shot on goal for Holland and first of the half, though an easy save for Troy Van Sickle.
And that was definitely a bit more intentional. But again, you get that, the nerves, the jitters, the yips, whatever what you will. And there was a chance for Leach. If Leach gets one in with just under 10 minutes remaining, it's a whole new game. Does Portville change the way they play? But until Holland can whittle away at this deficit, Portville is content right now to park the bus, so to speak, to get back on the bus, that long ride back, victorious ride back to Portville.
Mario Pasucci checks in for the final 9.5. He replaces Marcus Wilson, who did a fine job atop the formation for Portville in half number 2. Here comes Holland with numbers, probably their best chance at possession of the half, and a missed touch from Gabriel Leach changes that.
And once again, not to get on a youngster, but he had 2 men open for a quick one-touch pass, tries to take on, and he seems to be very much a right-footed dribbler. I know he wants to be that guy. We talked about picking up that aforementioned flag, but sometimes, coaches, you're trying to do too much yourself. While he's dribbling, he had 4 purple jerseys open. Portville calmly gets it back, and now almost like an icing in hockey, they're content to just let that clock tick, tick, tick away.
A goal kick for Holland. 8.5 to go on a Halloween night. We've seen an overtime thriller in game number 1, the Class D championship, and now in C, an unexpected finish.
Totally, and I'm just looking at the formation they're lining up. You watch any film from Holland earlier in the year, they had positional play, no more than 2 stacked up in each lane. Right now, it just looks, it's the randomness, and maybe when you do give up a goal within, in soccer, the first goal is paramount. Well, when you give up one within 2 minutes, you're not really settled in. As you said, they've just been chasing the whole game. And again, it'll be another throw in for Portville, but Portville's just content. There's no need to get another goal. They're not just playing defense in their end. They're not allowing Holland to move out of their own end.
Well, I've been on the wrong side of a lot of these types of games, though usually they were regular season matches between Cheektowaga and East Aurora.
Kevin Beal, East Aurora coach, is right down there, and you don't get to 300 career wins by accident. East Aurora, just a fantastic program, and again, we've talked about this on other broadcasts. How you develop a program is to have a good, affordable youth program in your area, where you get the kids, U4, U6, U8, as, here we go again with, out of bounds. You get this, and Holland, their program, and this is what Coach Gio and their athletic director has talked about, they're trying to build it up from the bottom up, all right? Portville, they said similar things to get playing opportunities that are affordable in that area. Right now, a family can spend, and we talked about this, $5,000 to $10,000 a year just in travel for a return as unsure as a college scholarship, partial scholarship. So, to build a program like East Aurora, it's a soccer factory, and Kevin Beal is just part of that. Kids at U4 want to put on a Blue Devils jersey. Right now, Cheektowaga Warriors, maybe they want to put a football jersey, definitely a basketball jersey, but soccer, it's a passion that we've had to. And luckily, I grew up in Lackawanna and got to know Abdul Noman Salam at a young age, which fostered my love of the game. But it's all about opportunity, which both these coaches are really giving to their players at this level.
You talk about the youth programs going down. It's much easier strictly on a money standpoint and on a financial basis. You mentioned $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a year in travel and doing all that just to give your kids that opportunity. Much easier to get 20% of the kids at Lancaster Orchard Park, the AA schools and A schools, to get that kind of funding, to get that experience growing up, where the Holland Dutchmen, the Portville Panthers going down, the Maple Grove Red Dragons, Ellicottville, all these smaller schools in western New York and across, frankly, the country that don't have those resources to do. There's no availability to do that. These kids that put on a performance like Portville has this season, winning what will be their 14th game and their first sectional title this century, just makes it that much more special, right?
Absolutely, because you're putting the groundwork there. The ground floor is your elbow grease that you put in. And you know what? It's mom selling the raffle tickets. It's dad building the dugout for the baseball team. It's you getting your friends and carpooling because mom is working, dad is working, can, Aunt Sally bring you through. So, and you can see this in front of us right now. It is a huge community event for Portville to be here. Holland, well represented too, but, the air wind taken out of their sails early on by just a masterful performance by Portville.
Now it's all about defense and closing out the final 4:15 for the Panthers, though they've got an offensive chance here. Mario Pasucci, 1-on-3, chips it ahead. Oleski will scoop it up.
I think Pasucci was looking at his forward counterpart zigging while they should have zagged, and he probably has McIntosh, JJ, in his ear saying, we don't have to give it up, just run this clock out. So he's like, should I put it past, should I put it on? And here's another dangerous one.
Braden Carter called offside. That is actually the first offside call of the match.
Well, while we have a moment, too, I was listening, you and Section 6 Committee Chair Todd Marquardt talking about some soccer euphemisms, and we haven't seen one this game. They didn't need them.
No.
But the nutmeg.
Yes.
So where the soccer term nutmeg comes in, and just as my wife would say that nobody cares about the stuff that perhaps some of them will. The term nutmeg in soccer is an 1870s English Victorian era euphemism. Where they would, some trickery, nutmeg, spices and stuff being traded, and sometimes they would ship dowels of wood instead of nutmeg up to London, and once some trickery came around, you were considered nutmegged. So when you looked a little bit foolish, the victim of trickery, perhaps a ball between the wickets, you have been nutmegged. So there we go. So now you know.
Well, I feel like I've been nutmegged coming into this game, as I expected the Holland Dutchmen to put on a clinic and show their footwork and their passing ability and dance around these Portville Panthers, who barely squeaked away with a 1-0 win over Wilson, who seemingly had 1.5 superstars on their team. Portville didn't dominate in that game whatsoever. I expected a much closer, if not a flipped script, in Holland winning this game in a landslide. Instead, it's the underdogs, Portville, who has won every facet of the match, from winning possession to keeping possession to winning 50-50s to shooting the ball on goal, clearing defensively, everything you can go down the list. They've gotten just 2 saves from their keeper, Van Sickle, but he hasn't had to do much else.
No, if I can go back in my own sporting history, very much feels like the Buffalo Bills, Washington, at that time, Redskins game, where you expected more out of the Bills, considering the firepower that they had. And once they got to the championship game, as they did 4 times in a row, dare I say, Holland Dutchman putting in a very 90s Super Bowl-esque. Sometimes it happens. You get to that game, and you can't say enough. Again, we've talked about it early. Both of these teams, great teams, well coached, but Portville, when it was time to rise to the occasion, they did so time and time again.
As we approach the final minute from West Seneca East High School, we take you through the scoring one more time. In the second minute, Cole Faulkner caught Holland sleeping and scored a beautiful shot from just outside the 18. 10 minutes later, Holland did respond. Gabriel Leach from the far corner sent a cross, or what looked to be a cross in. It caught everyone off guard and beat the goalkeeper Van Sickle on a bouncer that tied the game at 1. And a 2-on-1 opportunity to extend the lead to 3 for the Portville Panthers. A diving effort from Oleski denies that.
Now, we said Oleski struggled. He's actually kept the Dutchman in this game in the second half.
It was Michael Cole who has what will stand as the game winner. In the 27th minute, Cole put home his 14th goal on the season before Randolph added, that's Brian Randolph, the cushion for Portville. CPS, the Portville Panthers, are your 2022 Class C sectional champions.
What a clinic put on by Portville today. Full marks given to Coach McIntosh. But the story today, Michael Cole. He is the goal scorer. He is the goal creator. He is the talisman for Portville and Western New Yorkers as CPS advances into state play. You can't help. But really, Coach McIntosh, is it a Cinderella story? Because the clock has not struck midnight on these guys. Actually, it's been a wake-up call for all soccer fans because Portville's for real.
Portville will move on to the state playoff tournament. They'll play the crossover match with the winner of Section 5 in Class C Friday at 5 p.m. at Spencerport High School in Rochester. Well, that's all we've got for you, folks. We gave you the goal scoring. We gave you everything we could give you, as the Portville Panthers gave Holland everything they could give. We thank you for joining us on the NFHS Network on your Monday night soccer fill. For our cameraman Russ Battaglia, producer Dana Gunther, Rich Kozak, and myself, Jack Cruiser, I thank you for watching, and I bid you adieu.